chosen by you. Forever, I'm your friend. You'll always be right here with me. I'm so thankful for your love. No matter what I do, I know this is true. You're by my side, you'll never leave. I wanna thank you, God, for showing me who I am. You're so good, you help me to understand. We are your sons and daughters. You're such an amazing father. Thank you, God, for coming to rescue me. You're so good, God, you're everything I need. Every minute of every day, I just wanna say thank you, God. I'm blown away by your love for me. It goes on and never ends. I belong to you, I'm chosen by you. Forever, I'm your friend. You'll always be right here with me. I'm so thankful for your love. No matter what I do, I know this is true. You're by my side, you'll never leave. I wanna thank you, God, for showing me who I am. You're so good, you help me to understand. We are your sons and daughters. You're such an amazing father. Thank you, God, for coming to rescue me. You're so good, God, you're everything I need. Every minute of every day, I just wanna say thank you, God. You sent your son to set us free. For your love and kindness, I will sing. You sent your son to set us free. For your love and kindness, I will sing. I wanna thank you, God, for showing me who I am. You're so good, you help me to understand. We are your sons and daughters. You're such an amazing father. Thank you, God, for coming to rescue me. You're so good, God, you're everything I need. Every minute of every day, I just wanna say thank you, God.
It's good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Welcome to Story Lab. This week, we're talking about humility, while we take a look at an amazing letter written from prison.
Hey, I'm Sebastian.
And I'm Skylar.
We're talking about humility, which is putting others first by giving up what you think you deserve.
I think one of the best ways of putting others first is by helping them eat well.
Like a box of fudge rounds.
I was thinking more of tasty veggies.
My relationship with vegetables is complicated.
How about this vegetable?
Are you for real?
Yep, world's heaviest carrot, according to the Guinness Book of World Records.
That's gonna need a lot of ranch.
Then there's this.
World's biggest cabbage?
Yep,
It's like part of some prehistoric jungle. I feel like we should see some dinosaurs roaming past it.
speaking of which,
It's a Vegisaurus!
world's largest mixed vegetable sculpture.
Amazing. Slightly terrifying.
Our guest today knows a thing or two about veggies.
He builds with them?
Nope, he grows them.
Great. I'm ready.
Hi, Phil. We're so excited to talk with you.
Hi guys, hey, it's good to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure, I run Sheriff Farms, which is a small market garden that supplies an average of 40 baskets a week, all 4 seasons of the year to our 65 families.
Wow. What's your farm like?
Well, it's a very intense little farm. It's a 1/4 acre if you do the math of how much we actually grow on. But we grow all major food groups. That's what makes a market garden a market garden. It has a variety of crops, a great diversity of crops, and we grow them all. Everything from broccoli and cabbage and beets and carrots and lettuce and kale and bok choy, onions and garlic, and a lot more.
So, any watermelons?
No watermelons. The watermelons would cover this entire garden.
So you have a special plan of what you plant?
Absolutely. I can tell you what I'm planting next year and where I'm going to plant it. We rotate our crops every year into a new space. And so ideally, the same crop isn't planted for almost 8 years if I'm managing the garden well.
Wow, that's a long time.
Okay, it's easier on the soil and allows the garden to produce very well. A good garden is always giving back to the environment.
So it's like you have to get to know your dirt.
Yes, and that's where it really gets fun, because in the creation story of Genesis, God tells the earth to bring forth vegetation. I'm always amazed at how the ground can adapt and respond to good care and love with such energy and life, like this.
So farming is really a lot of hard work, right?
I do work hard, but you know, everyone works hard. I get to choose the times when I work hard.
All the vegetables you provide are such an amazing way to serve the community.
Well, I'm glad I can do my part. But really, I'm only one gardener. In fact, that's how I sign my emails to my updates of my customers. One of you gardeners.
How's that?
Well, I love it when people come to my farm to pick up their produce for the week, and they can see where it all comes from, and they can see the person who's actually involved. But in reality, most of our food comes from people that are laboring, whose names we don't know, whose stories we'll never hear, and they have to work under tough conditions.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Those people are out there in the dirt, they're working in the cold, they're working in the heat, they're working when it's raining, they're working with the frost on their hands, maybe their gloves aren't working that day, but they don't get to pick the days they get to choose.
I feel like I should go find a gardener and thank them right now.
Well, that's a great way to think about it. No matter what we grow up to be, there's always someone out there working in all kinds of weather conditions and living conditions to provide food for our families.
I am so going to look at my food differently.
I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for being on here with us, Phil.
It was a pleasure seeing you all, and I hope you all have a great day.
Bye, Phil.
Bye.
I want a giant, colorful salad right now.
As long as there's plenty of this.
I love how Phil reminded us to pay attention to those growing our veggies behind the scenes.
Yeah. Now it's time for...
The story before the story.
Today, we're in Philippians, the 11th book in the New Testament. Philippians is a letter written by the Apostle Paul to the young church he started in the Greek city of Philippi.
But before Paul, way back in the beginning, out of a deep, deep love, God made an amazing world.
But when people turned away from God, the world was broken.
God made a plan to draw people back into relationship. So at the right time, God's very own son, Jesus, came to live among us. When Jesus grew up, he traveled from town to town, teaching and healing.
But the religious leaders made plans to get rid of him. Jesus was crucified on a cross and died.
But early Sunday morning, Jesus returned to life, and lots of his friends saw him.
Which is where our story starts.
Hey everyone, I'm Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
For 40 days after his resurrection, Jesus spent time with his friends. Then he returned to heaven to be with God. But the news about Jesus spread. More and more people began to follow Jesus, including Paul. Paul traveled all over, starting brand new churches. On one of his journeys, he spent 3 months in the Greek city of Philippi, where he shared the news about Jesus with a businesswoman named Lydia. Lydia welcomed the new church to meet in her home, and it grew quickly, even after Paul was thrown in prison. Paul was released and continued his travels. Several more times, he was jailed for sharing about Jesus, but he used his time in prison to write letters to the new churches. In a letter from Rome, Paul encouraged the Philippians to put others ahead of themselves.
Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. None of you should look out for just your own good. Each of you should also look out for the good of others. As you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did.
Jesus is our model. Like the Philippians, we can begin to think and act like Jesus. So, let's take a look at some of the things Jesus did. Jesus showed humility by always talking to God first.
Our Father in heaven, may your name be honored.
Jesus spent time alone with God, over and over. Jesus took time away from the crowds to ask God for help. He did it before starting his ministry, before choosing his disciples, and before giving up his life on the cross. Jesus submitted all his desires and plans to God. Next, Jesus showed humility by spending time with those who seemed unimportant.
Come, follow me.
Rather than choosing the most important, well-educated people to be his followers, Jesus chose the overlooked and the outcast. He wasn't worried about looking impressive. Jesus said to show humility by giving in secret.
When you give to needy people, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Then your giving will be done secretly.
That just means when you do something good for others, do it quietly. Don't make it a big deal and do it for show so people will think you're all that. Jesus also said to show humility in our relationships by doing more than is required.
Suppose someone forces you to go 1 mile. Go 2 miles with them.
Jesus taught that when you're told to do something, do it with a great attitude, and then do even more than you have to. In the end, Jesus gave us the most incredible example of humility ever. Paul wrote,
In his very nature, he was God. Jesus was equal with God. But Jesus didn't take advantage of that fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. He was made just like human beings. He was humble and obeyed God completely. He did this even though it led to his death on a cross.
most of us will never be asked to actually die for someone. But every day, we can look for opportunities to set aside the things we want in order to put others first. Because Jesus puts us first. The end.
Gotta be honest, this one is hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so easy to default to what I want and what I need.
That's right. It takes practice to pay attention to what other people need. And then to find ways of putting them first.
So, what's our part in this story?
Well, because Jesus put us first, we can live forever with him. Instead of living for ourselves, we have the freedom to put others first, just like Jesus did.
Just like how Jesus spent time with people who weren't considered important, you can look for the kid that's trying to make a friend, instead of trying to get the popular kids to like you.
Or like Jesus said, to give in secret. You could quietly share a snack with a friend who doesn't have one, and you don't have to make a big deal about it.
When your mom asks you to take out the trash, you can take it out and then also empty the dishwasher, just like how Jesus said to go the extra mile.
None of this is easy to do in our own strength. That's why it's so important to do something else Jesus did.
Pray.
Exactly. Jesus talked to God first, before anything else.
When we take time to do that, we remember how amazing it is that Jesus put us first. Then God can give us the creativity and strength so that we can put others first.
I think you've got it. See you next time.
Bye, Chloe.
So here's the thing. Put others first because Jesus put you first.
Hey, let's go.
Where are we going?
We are gonna go help Farmer Phil.
Okay. Thanks for joining us in the Story Lab. We'll see you
Next time. Let's go.
What's up, John? Staring at dirt for fun?
Kinda. I just planted some flowers and I've heard that vegetation grows faster when it listens to music. Haven't you ever heard you should talk to your flowers?
No.
Well, you should. Music supposedly makes them react faster. I just have to find the right kind. No, nothing there.
John, this is ridiculous. There's no way that...
Woo-hoo! It's time for another dance party with DJ Daisy. Hey!
You've got to be kidding me. This isn't even a good song. What?
Double Daisy dance. Doo, doo. Hello, everyone. I'm John.
And I'm your host, Brandon.
And this is the
And
So&So.
this is the Green Garden Call-In Hour, where we're taking your calls and giving you advice on how to make your garden beautiful and verdant. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Brandon. Big fan.
What's going on right now?
I'm trying to make sure my succulents stay healthy during the upcoming summer months. Do you have any advice on watering frequency? Thanks so much. Love the show.
Hey, caller, thanks so much for calling in. My thoughts are that all plants need water, so go ahead and water them all the time, every day, as much as possible.
That's terrible advice.
And never mind, don't water them, ever. They're smart plants. They'll figure it out. Next caller.
Hey, Brandon. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm trying to plant a blueberry bush, but I don't really know much about soil pH. Is that okay?
Why not? As we all know, pH stands for plant hands, which blueberry bushes don't have, so you should be fine.
Brandon!
We've got to go to commercial break, but we'll be back soon with more insights and tips.
You know nothing about gardening.
I know! I ended up hosting this radio show somehow, and I still have no idea what I'm doing.
How long have you been hosting this show?
I don't know, 7 years?
7.
Look,
How did you get
there's
this
no
show?
time for this, John! I need help! Could we possibly bring on someone who knows stuff?
Okay, sure. Please welcome someone who knows stuff. Come on in. Have a seat. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Just 1 second. And we're back after that short break. We've got a guest with us today. Could you please tell us who you are and what you know?
Hi, I'm Lily, and I would say that I know a fair amount about gardening.
Great to have you with us today. I am so sorry about this. I don't know anything about gardening, but I have to give these people advice. Is there any way you could help me out?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So we've got a caller on the line. You're on the air, caller.
Hey, I've heard a lot about composting, but it sounds like a lot of work. Should I try it?
Don't. Putting posts in your garden will make it look bad.
Composting is when stuff like leaves and food scraps decompose and turn into nutrient-rich soil.
Right, so you don't want things decomposing in your garden. That's gross.
Actually, you should absolutely give composting a shot. Not only is it good for your garden, but it's a great way to find uses for food scraps that would otherwise just end up in a landfill.
So what I'm saying is composting
is a good thing.
Exactly. We have to take a quick break. Lily, thank you so much for being on the show. You've proven in one question that you know more about this topic than I ever could.
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I don't think that's true. I think you can know all these things. You just have to study and work, and don't talk on your radio show about things that you're not sure about.
Well, thank you for taking the time for helping me understand more about gardening and more about hosting a call-in gardening radio show. Would you be interested in taking over by any chance?
I mean, why not?
Awesome!
I'm gonna help people when I can.
All right, that's great. Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning into the show today, everyone. This is your host, Brandon, signing off.
And this is your new host, Lily, signing on. So when it comes to composting, you want to make sure that your soil is nutrient-filled. You also want to make sure that...
Hey, thank goodness Lily was here.
I know, right? But I still think posts make for an unsightly garden.
No. We're not talking about... Didn't you just listen to... No, never mind. It's Bible story time with Kellen.
Hey guys!
Kellen, my man, what's going on today?
Today we're going to be talking about a story from the book of Luke, where two men happen to be... I know this song.
Diane DeWitt here, reporting for Ancient News, where we only cover the oldest possible news. Later, floppy disk. Neither floppy nor disk. But first, since the crucifixion of Jesus, we've heard reports of some incredible things. Some eyewitnesses have even said they've seen Jesus alive. We go now live to the city of Emmaus to speak with one of those witnesses, Cleopas. Cleopas, can you tell us what happened?
So, my friend and I were walking on the road from Jerusalem to the village of Emmaus. We were talking about all the stuff that's been going on in Jerusalem. And this guy comes up to us, and he asks us what we're talking about. And we're like, you don't know?
And what were you talking about?
Well, you don't know either? We were talking about Jesus, of course. How he was a powerful prophet and was sentenced to death. How he died on the cross. We were both bummed because we were really sure that he was going to be the person to set Israel free.
But Jesus was crucified and put in a tomb.
That's what I'm saying. 3 days ago that was. But that's not all. Today, some friends of ours went to Jesus' tomb and didn't find his body. They saw angels who told them that Jesus was alive.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you told all of this to the man who came up to you on the road?
Yeah. And get this. He said we were being foolish. He said, and I remember this exactly, he said, how long it takes you to believe all the prophets said. Didn't the Messiah have to suffer these things and then receive his glory?
And what did that mean?
We weren't sure either. So this guy explained. He went through the scriptures, starting all the way back with Moses and the prophets, all of it. It was like God had this plan for everything that's been happening.
Fascinating story. I'm sure that's all there is to it, though.
Actually, there's
Back to you, Kellen.
Okay.
Well, that isn't exactly all there is to it, but that is how it started. You see, Cleopas and his friend were just arriving at home when they... There it is.
We're back with more ancient news. Later, silly bands can actually be used as rubber bands. Maybe they're not so silly after all. But first, breaking news on the story we just left. We have here the friend who was walking with Cleopas on the road to Emmaus.
That's right. My name is...
No time for that. This is breaking news. Last we heard, you were on your way to Emmaus when a stranger walking with you explained everything that had been going on.
Right. And when we got to the place we were staying, he wanted to keep walking, but we wanted to hear more. So we begged him to have dinner with us.
And did he?
He did. We sat down right here in this room, and that's when things got really crazy. The guy blessed the bread, and the second he broke it, we could see who he really was.
And he was?
Jesus.
Shocking.
Yeah, he was alive just like our friends had been saying. And then, just like that, he disappeared.
So Jesus himself had been walking with you that whole day?
The entire time. But after he vanished from dinner, Cleopas and I booked it back to Jerusalem because we had to tell the disciples what we saw.
I'm being told we have one of Jesus' disciples, Simon. Simon, is all this true? Is Jesus alive?
Yes.
Absolutely fascinating. Jesus of Nazareth, once dead, now alive again. And still taking the time to help people understand why he's here. Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story with Ancient News, Cleopas' friend.
Actually, my name is...
Time for a break. Up next, where exactly is Waldo? I'm Diane DeWitt for Ancient News. Back to you, Kellen.
Wow, that is some really good news right there. It's incredible enough that Jesus came back from the dead, but he wasn't done. He took the time to show himself to some of his followers and explain what God was up to people who might have been confused. He helped people understand.
That's another way Jesus was humble.
Yep, and it's a way for us to show humility too. When we understand something and someone else doesn't, we can be patient with them and help them learn.
Like you do for us, Kellen.
Yeah, right. And like Lily did for you in your radio show.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thanks for the story, Kellen.
No problem. I'll see you next time.
You know, I feel like I understand a little bit more about humility now.
And I understand more about gardening, but I've given 7 years of bad advice. Just think of all the dead plants.
Yeah. Reveal the question. Oh, hey, great. Today's question is, when has someone helped you understand something?
Yeah, every day of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff going on all the time. Oh, like kids can explain to me how to install apps on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just learned from a podcast yesterday why you should never eat undercooked chicken.
Oh, no, that's good for you. It's chicken sushi, they call it.
But no, you know
sushi.
nothing about cooking either, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's all we got this week.
We'll help you understand. We'll help you understand some stuff again next week, we hope.
Yeah, until then, I'm John.
And I'm Brandon.
And this was the So&So Show. See you soon.
See you
do not eat undercooked chicken or raw chicken. Don't eat any of it.
Are you sure?
I am 100% positive.
All right.
Yeah. It's time to get our day thought. I'm DJ Daisy.
And I am Dan D. Lion.
Kick it, scene. Yeah! I feel the beats. I think there's some beats growing in the soil.